Miss Moreno Sanchez's business?
Because I thought it would, she did a good package deal for her and recommended all this, and did that for her. And nothing like that came out of that for me.
Okay, so your stone was never delivered, is that correct?
My stone was never delivered. What was delivered by Miss Moreno was pain, agony, torture for me, my family.
Think about that for a second. This isn't just about money or a business deal. This is about honoring a loved one who passed away. When that trust is broken, it hits way deeper. So ask yourself, does this rise to the level of criminal theft, or is it a tragic business failure?
And the loss of my husband. We have suffered quite a bit, and she has put us through nothing but hell till now. And I want closure on this. I can't seem to go on because I have this over me. She does not deserve probation. She is not going to free me of my pain, what we have gone through, the trauma. She is malicious, vicious. She's a disgrace to the human race. I know that I could not live with myself. I don't know how she's lived with herself right now, having all of this. They've already lost a loved one, but to come and no shame, and just to do this to not one, but many, and still there's many out there, I believe. And now I understand she's working for another funeral home. And I honestly want to say is that going to happen to them? Will she do that to them? But her lies was one lie after another. Her promises are not, she's not credible. She's not honest. She needs to go serve her time. I'm not the judge, Your Honor. I know you're the judge, but the bigger judge is up there. And I know that we are all going to go and meet before him.
Think about that for a second. This isn't just about money or a business deal. This is about honoring a loved one who passed away. When that trust is broken, it hits way deeper. So ask yourself, does this rise to the level of criminal theft, or is it a tragic business failure?
I believe in that. I was raised in that. But I know that she needs to serve her time to realize that she didn't only hurt me and my family, because she bought a house, she bought a truck, she did all of this and made her look good. While we're over here and believe that this woman was going to keep her promise and give us what we paid for. And that never happened.
Ms. Fuentes, just one brief question. Did you receive any restitution this last go around?
I did, and I remember your words. You said, well, that's a good Christmas gift, came just in time. That was very painful for me, a lawyer, to say that. That was not very nice. I know that you represent, you want her, but you're not representing me. But I am going to tell you this, I did receive it, but I never received my stone. The one I designed for my husband. The one that she promised to give to me and him. I don't know how you can represent someone like that. But then that's part of your job.
I have no further questions.
All right, any other questions?
No further questions from the state, Your Honor.
All right, I'll tell you this. I've been a defense attorney before, and a defense attorney's job is to zealously represent their client. And I would always tell people, because people would ask me.
And there it is, the moral argument. Not just legal accountability, but divine judgment. Jurors and even judges are human. Statements like this can carry emotional weight, but legally, they don't decide the outcome. Evidence does.
Sometimes, I can't believe you're representing this person. And my thing is, we have a U.S. Constitution.
Ms. Moreno, you stated you had to temporarily close your office. When did you do that?
I was trying to between May and June.
Yes. Of what year?
I believe 2023.
So May and June of 2023 is when you closed your business?
I didn't close the business, I closed the office. I had to relocate due to my ex harassing me.
So my question is, when did you close the business?
The business altogether after I was arrested. After I was arrested in 2024.
So would it surprise you to learn that on the date of your arrest, when you were interviewed by Detective Chamness, you told him you closed your business in December of 2023?
I don't recall saying that.
This is a key moment. The judge steps in to remind everyone of a fundamental principle. Everyone deserves representation, even the most controversial defendants. It's not about agreeing with them. It's about protecting the integrity of the justice system itself.
I don't recall saying that.
So it wouldn't surprise you, you're just saying you didn't say it.
I don't recall saying that. I may have, I really don't recall saying that.
Okay, so how long have you been in the monument business, Ms. Marino?
On my own, it would have been 6 years at that time.
Would it surprise you to learn you also told Detective Chamness you've been doing it on and off for about 10 years?
Yes, I have. But on my own, about that time, on and off, yes, no.
Okay, and then when did issues with your business begin? During that time, what were you able to do or not do?
I did the most that I could as far as working in my office. He would be waiting outside for me. He would be throwing items, breaking stones, breaking into my office. I was very fearful to be in my office. He would call my phone 500 times, 100 times. I had to just throw away my ex from harassing me. I had to change my number. I never wanted to change my number. It's just been a big mess. And I'm sorry, and it's unfortunate that it's happened.
So you stated that you're in a domestic violence situation, correct?
Yes.
And you stated you were fearful to be at work. Did this mean you just stayed at home?
I stayed at home or tried to work elsewhere, from elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't do any recreational activities during that time and you were scared to leave? Is that a fair statement to say?
I would come out whenever I could or try to visit family. Yes.
So your bank records would be consistent with showing you weren't just at home like you told Detective Chamness when he interviewed you. Now, Ms. Marino, I want to ask you, when Detective Chamness was talking to you, he asked you generally about how the monument business works, but you were unwilling to explain that to him. Why?
Because different situations for different families and what they order, where they order from, and special details on it.
So why couldn't you tell him that?
Because I'm being interrogated without an attorney, and I felt that it would be best that I discuss it with an attorney.
But you didn't terminate the interview at that point.
I did not. I felt powerful about things, and I knew that things could get twisted and turned, and I didn't want that to happen.
I see. And then, when did you begin working for Compassion Funeral Home?
I began working there maybe about last August.
Would it surprise you to learn that Mr. Reyes told me it was October of 2024?
That's about the time. Well, yes, about that time, August, October.
So are your timelines skewed?
No, I was actually helping, from working in the office was October, but working as far as preparation, like office setup, would be earlier, a little bit earlier.
So when did you begin working with Compassion Funeral Home?
Basically in the office in October.
And you're still doing that, correct?
Oh, yeah.
And you're still in contact with families who need monument services?
They need all kinds of services that deal with the cemetery business and funeral industry.
And you deal with money?
I deal with it to a certain extent.
But you take orders?
I take orders of all services.
Okay, so that includes handling funds sometimes?
Sometimes, yes.
And it includes marketing?
Yes, it does.
And filing? Right?
Yes, ma'am.
And filling and jewelry and preparing bodies, is that
Preparing, I assist whatever is needed.
Right, okay. How can you assure this court that what you've done is not going to happen again?
It will not happen again. Prior to all of this, I have never had any issues before. I've had nothing but highly recommendations and referrals. As I mentioned before, it's unfortunate that it happened due to the events that were happening in my life. And past this, there has not been any issues at all, only but recommendations and service to the families.
So how do you reconcile that there's 16 complainants alleged that have had issues with you in your business?
At that time, I was growing in business.
And some of the complainants, right, when you did come clean with your situation, some were unwilling to believe you. Isn't that true?
Yes.
Do you understand why, though, if some of them have been waiting since 2022?
There have been there's different instances for different families. If you want me to go into detail, I can. If not, that's fine. They have every intention to feel and think and be hurt by all of this. I'm sorry for everything.
Okay, now I want to talk a little bit about what you're asking for from this court. You're asking for community supervision, is that correct?
Yes, I am.
And you've been on community supervision before, right?
I have.
And each time you've been on community supervision, a subsequent motion to revoke has been filed, correct?
State for what reason?
So, for your 2012 possession of a controlled substance, PG1 less than 1 gram, in 2014 a motion to revoke was filed, correct?
Yes.
And then in October of that year, you pled true to a new number 1 offense, is that true?
Yes.
Yes, right? Okay, and then what happened as the disposition of that?
They were closed. I was deferred.
Correct. So you were continued on probation, extended for 6 months, right?
Yes.
And you finished that probation. And then again, for your other offense, possession of controlled substance, PG1 less than 1 gram, you were put on deferred adjudication, correct?
Yes.
Concurrent with 2 other cases.
Yes.
You got a motion to revoke filed, right?
What's the legal objection?
Well, the legal objection is that she's asking her what it was. She doesn't recall. I don't.
I mean, she says,
If you know, then please go ahead, ma'am.
I think the question needs to
Sure.
be asked and answered.
Yes, ma'am. Believe one of them was a maybe non-payment or diluted away. I think and then a DWI.
Right, okay. And then you also had a possession with intent to deliver a controlled substance, PG1 4 to 200 grams, correct?
That same one.
No, that's a different case.
Okay, yeah. There was one, I think, so that's the 1 gram at 1 4 to 200.
Mhm. And what happened with that case?
Big birds.
Right, and you had a motion to revoke probation filed, right?
That was for the DWI that I picked up.
But you pled true to a number 2 violation, right? And went to inpatient?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and then you completed it, correct?
Yes, I did.
So my point being, you've been placed on probation before, so why should the court do it again?
This was not intended to. This was events that happened that were out of my control that I tried to control with everything. I was at the police station almost every week. I have over 50 police reports on this person. My life was hell going through that. Going through not being able to service these families, being able to not do what I said I was going to do. Try to be the woman of my word and complete an order, as I said, especially to these grieving families. There's no way that I would want to cause pain and tension to these families.
Right, but it's your opinion that they were harassing you and calling you stuff.
It's not an opinion, but that was
what you
action.
told the PSI officer, correct?
It was an opinion.
I have no further questions, Judge.
I have a few questions if there are no objections.
No objection, Judge.
All right. So I just have a few questions for you. Number 1, when you received money from the complainants, how did you receive that money? Was it in check, cash?
There was some cash, check, and money orders.
When you received that money, did you order the headstones and pay for those headstones with that money? So you're saying the headstones have been paid for, you're just waiting for them to come in?
They had been paid for. I had placed orders.
It was at this moment that she knew. She fucked up.
So the headstones have been paid for.
So the monument.
Wait a minute. If the headstones were paid for, then where are they? This is the exact moment the case pivots. Either there's a third-party failure, or this explanation isn't going to hold up under scrutiny.
Accepting money, getting money in, but there's no output except for commission that she gets to enjoy and spend. Your Honor, I don't think she's facing the consequences for her action, and I think it's surprising, or not surprising actually, I think it's coincidental that she's able to come up with this restitution that was owed the entire time, now at a time that would allow the court to potentially grant her mercy for paying that restitution. She continues to victimize the community, as we've seen through her escalation of crime. First it began with drugs, and now then DWI, and now she's doing thefts in the community. I don't think she's a proper applicant or would be willing to complete probation.
I stand by accepting the money and not delivering the stones, and some of it was delivered to them and some of them wasn't. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, I'm just trying to figure things out because, as I said before, you're here on a theft case. So a theft case means that in this situation, that somebody is saying they paid you money for a service and that you didn't deliver that service. Now, if it's a situation where, oh, I gave the money to pay for these headstones to a third party, a company that everybody knows is, as we say, on the up and up, that they're a legitimate company, that you paid them that money, that you can show your attorney, show the state, hey, I paid this headstone company the money, and they are the ones who didn't deliver, and I'm working on getting the headstones from them because they've been paid.
One sentence of rebuttal to something defense said.
Yes.
Defense said that community supervision wouldn't be a get out of jail free card, so to speak, for Miss Marino. However, she told the PSI officer when asked, how does she think community supervision or deferred can help her? And her answer was blatantly, it will help keep me out of prison. So I think that functions as a get out of jail free card.
Okay. All right. This is what the court is going to do. The court is going to find you guilty. The court is going to sentence you to 6 years in the prison, give you credit for any time served. There's to be no employment in the funeral home industry, the home health care industry. Any impact statements or not?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, sir. We do have 3 victims.
All right.
Judge, is it okay if she has some water? She has her mouth is very, very dry.
Oh, you'll have to speak to the deputies. I'm not in charge of any of that. And if she wants some water, she'll have to speak with the deputies. All right, you may proceed.